welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be learning about chemical symbols and formula. So we're going to be understanding the language of chemistry. So let's get started. Today you will represent elements using chemical symbols, understand the basics of IUPAC nomenclature in naming compounds, and use chemical formula to represent compounds. Did you know Swedish scientist Jöns Jacob Berzelius introduced the modern system of chemical symbols? He represented the elements using one or two letters from their Latin names. Chemical symbols. These are shorthand ways to represent elements in chemistry. Recall that an element cannot be broken down into simpler substances, so it is made up of just one type of atom. Each symbol is made up of one or two letters and always capitalize the first letter. Importance of chemical symbols. They provide standardized ways of representing elements, making communicating information about elements and compounds easier. They offer a concise and simple way to represent elements in chemical equations, eliminating the need to spell each element's name. Common chemical symbols. H for hydrogen, derived from the Greek hydro and genes, which means water forming, which is the most abundant element in the universe. O for oxygen. This name comes from the Greek oxy and genes, which means acid forming. It is essential for life. C for carbon, which is derived from the Latin carbo meaning charcoal, which is found in all known life forms. N for nitrogen, which comes from the Greek nitron and genes meaning nitrate forming, constitutes about 78% of Earth's atmosphere. Na for sodium, derived from the Latin natrium, which is soft element, a metal that easily tarnishes when exposed to air. Cl for chlorine, which is derived from the Greek chloros, which means greenish yellow, widely used in disinfectants and cleaning products. So, let's do a quick quiz. This is a symbol scramble. How many elements can you recognize from the chemical symbols below? Name as many as you can with the help of your periodic table. Pause the video and take a minute to guess as much as you can. This is the answers. Elements are often named based on their characteristics, the substances they were extracted from, how they were found, mythological beings, locations, or notable individuals. Au for gold, Ni for nickel, Mg for magnesium, I for iodine, P for phosphorus, Ag for silver, K for potassium, Ca for calcium, Hg for mercury, Al for aluminium, Zn for zinc, and C for carbon. The periodic table of elements. There are 118 chemical elements listed in the periodic table in a specific order. Rules on how to name new elements in the periodic table are set up by the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, which is shortened to be called as IUPAC. This is what the periodic table looks like. The role of IUPAC. IUPAC is responsible for establishing unambiguous and consistent naming systems, also known as nomenclature, and terminology. It has a system of naming chemical compounds and provides a standard language for scientists worldwide. Naming compounds. A compound is a substance containing two or more elements that are chemically bonded. A chemical formula is an expression showing the elements in a compound and their relative proportions. This contains a combination of chemical symbols and numbers. So the chemical formula for carbon dioxide is CO2. Carbon dioxide is a compound of carbon and oxygen, and it has one carbon atom and two oxygen atoms because of the subscript 2. This is how a carbon dioxide molecule looks like. Naming ionic compounds. An ionic compound is composed of a metal and non-metal. Some of the basic rules when naming ionic compounds include: a metal will always come first in a chemical formula, followed by a non-metal. Example, sodium chloride, which can also be said as NaCl. An ionic compound with two elements will have a name that ends with "ide". For example, copper sulfide. A compound with three elements, including oxygen, will have a name that ends with "ate" or "ite". So, sodium sulfate. Review. Chemical symbols. These are shorthand ways to represent elements in chemistry. Each symbol is made up of one or two letters, with the first letter always capitalized. IUPAC nomenclature. IUPAC is responsible for setting up a system of naming elements and compounds, providing a standard language for scientists worldwide. Naming compounds. Compounds are represented by chemical formula which use symbols and subscripts. IUPAC sets rules for naming compounds correctly.